Hello, everyone. This is our presentation for English 3060. We are the research group consisting of Matt, Akaya, Ryan, who is myself, and Yaya, and this refers to bricklayer. So for our introduction, the topic of research for our group is President Brian Pollin's construction equipment rental company, Bricklayer, as we've said. And we propose to cover for him the methods of communication, the company model, the contrast between Bricklayer and other similar companies, whether they are construction equipment rental or not, and the effect of social platforms as advertising, information, and as a baseboard to support an online reputation, to grow and spread awareness about the company. We believe these topics outline our group's tasks and demonstrate how we're going to accomplish the objectives that we view as being set forth to us by both the professor and President Brian Pollin and his company. However, we would like to qualify that we are still in collaboration with other groups such as the research liaisons and the website development groups. And some of these tasks are subject to change, either a removal or the additional of another topic.
We hope to deliver information to Brian regarding business trends and communication, website interfaces from similar companies, construction equipment rental as a company model, and the current events and social media concerning these companies. Some of these topics are subject to change, just like Ryan said, as we are communicating with other teams and collaborating, but they could also change as per Brian's request. We just hope that these topics will address any concerns that President Brian Pollin has.
So again, I'm Ryan Smith, and this is my slide referring to the business trends and communication. This objective's goal is to provide Mr. Pollin with info about how different companies, construction equipment rental and not, are communicating with their suppliers and clients, whether these communications are different for suppliers or clients, or if they're the same. My qualifications in researching this topic include significant group work experience as provided by my education, and a background in research as a research assistant, which garners the different methods to appropriately research a topic. So the plan of action for researching this topic is to obtain information on how different companies, again, whether they are equipment rental or not, communicate with one another and with their companies and their customers as compared to Bricklayer, whether that's through email, through website, through phone call, or some other method. We hope to assess how impactful social media and other novel communication techniques, as mentioned, are to a growing company, because they can have different effects based on whether the company is well established or whether it is growing, and some may be more beneficial to one or the other. And we hope to suggest to Bricklayer, based on these things, how it can further develop its advantages and how it already excels, and amend its shortcomings. So one example of this is its website we view as being somewhat lacking in facilitating customer communication with the supplier and with the equipment rental website.
Hello everyone, I'm Yaya and I am tasked with researching website interfaces for companies similar to Bricklayer. My goal is to work together with the user assessment team to provide Mr. Pollin with some suggestions on how to improve his website, Bricklayer. I am qualified for this position because I've had a similar experience last semester where my team and I had to write a research proposal to Mr. Brian on how to make Bricklayer more user compatible. There are 4 steps to my research plan. First would be to look at Bricklayer's website to get a general idea of what it offers, and this will give me a baseline to work from. My next step will be to collaborate with the user assessment team in order to find key points of research, and this will help me narrow down the path of the areas of improvement. Once I have a general idea of what Bricklayer offers and I know what I'm looking for, I can now start researching Bricklayer's competitors, not only to see their pros and cons, but also how they implement certain features. And lastly, I'll compile the information I've acquired into a document that has our suggestions for Mr. Pollen.
Hi, my name is Matt, and I will be looking into rental equipment as a business model. My goal for this is to gather information for Brian and to go over the expected growth of construction before, during, and after COVID. Because this is such a strange time we live in, it's a pretty good stress test for the industry on how it fares. My own qualifications are I've worked at Great Lakes States for 7 years, and we rent our own equipment for our own stores from Alta Equipment Company. But not only that, I have a family member who works at Alta, who I hope to interview and get some information from them regarding how they're handling COVID and how their sales are. But I will also be looking into how other companies have handled this odd time we're living in.
Hi, my name is Kaya, and I'll be covering the research topic, current events in social media concerning companies. So the goal is to provide Mr. Pollen with information about the current events being held for construction and the social media trends relating to construction companies. So qualifications are why I chose this topic. So I'm qualified to cover this topic of research because I'm interested in providing information on how companies promote their business and how companies structure their social media. I'll be able to identify what is commonly used in order to benefit Bricklayer. So the research being covered on is public events, monitoring social media, company website development, and the impact of COVID-19. So with public events, they're usually held for construction companies and many different fields as well, and it allows companies to make connections and acquire more customers. It's a way that a business can actually make a name for themselves, and would be very beneficial for Bricklayer. So monitoring social media. So by keeping track of how often businesses promote themselves through social media, this can help get an idea of how often Bricklayers should promote themselves through it. And an example of this would be a business posting customer reviews on the service that they received. And we should now consider like how often should you post that, and because it actually puts the business into good light. So the impact of COVID-19 with company website development. So we have to ask ourselves like, how are the construction websites progressing, and then how can you actually improve your own site by looking at others, because ideas can be developed by looking at what is trending on different company websites as well. So we should do this for Bricklayer. So the impact of COVID-19. So we have to think like, how did it actually affect the public events for construction? So I understand that these public events actually have been switched to online. So now we have to figure out, how do we learn about these online events? And then we also got to consider, how can you actually promote yourself if you're not in person? So I know one way is through advertisement calls. You can do that to construction companies to let them know like what your business is and how things work. So communication, so how our team communicates. So we use Teams group chat and Zoom meetings. So through Microsoft Teams, we have a group chat that is used for generalizing, chatting, and topics and questions. So we put things in there that can be answered without actually having to be on a call through there. And that's how we actually schedule our meetings with each other as well. So Zoom meetings are used to discuss major points and plans. So we figure out what type of research that we'll be actually conducting, and then we also discuss what applications that we will use in order to complete our task. So an example of this will be when we decided which application we will use for communication, and then the other one with assigning tasks or seeing what we're doing.
For team accountability, we are using an app called Trello. Trello allows us to create tasks for each member and then allows us to drag tasks into different categories as we progress. Currently, we are using 3 categories: to do, doing, and done. To the right, you can see a screenshot of Trello, and you can see that I have a task in the to-do category. Once I start working on this task, I can drag it into the doing category, and once I'm done, I can move it once again to the final category. And in this way, we can hold ourselves more accountable for the work that we have to do. When it comes to our schedule, there are a number of factors that help shape and define how it looks like. Firstly, we looked at when everyone was free to meet and at what times. And through this, we were able to allocate 1 or 2 days where we were able to hop in a Zoom call and discuss plans or record presentations such as this. On top of that, if something comes up and the schedule needs to be altered, we have Microsoft Teams communication where we can let each other know almost immediately. Our accountability app, Trello, also helps shape our schedule as it allows us to use task management to measure progress and set deadlines. On top of all this, the due dates for each project give us a time constraint that we have to work within, and this helps define our schedule.
So just to go over what we have talked throughout this presentation, we've gone over our proposed objectives and deliverables, which are business trends and communication, website interfaces, construction equipment as a company model, and current events with social media concerning these companies. We've gone through the possibility of including other groups or topics within our own research. We've also addressed that Brian may want to add some things to our research so we can kind of adjust to what he would like. We've gone through our own individual qualifications on why we are, the reason why we can research these topics. We have gone through our plans for researching each individual topic, and we have gone through how we communicate as a team and how we are scheduling around each other's busy lives.
So again, we must address the qualifier that is Brian Pollan and bricklayer, because at the end of the day, these objectives and deliverables are proposals and they can be ultimately rejected, as Matthew has said. If he does not feel they meet his goals or concerns from the company and its growth, or if he has doubts regarding how we're going about researching these and accomplishing these topics. At the end of the day, it's just suiting his needs and facilitating the growth of his company. And so our project and our work will be shaped around that, no matter the direction or the input we receive. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us through email or through any other method that you have available to you. That's our presentation. Thank you for attending.